Right. So yeah, welcome, Elaine. It's great to connect with you finally.
Yes, thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Likewise, likewise, yes. I actually realize, I love meeting the people that are doing the program, and instead of looking for other people to interview, it's
Uh-huh.
well, I want to interview the people that are doing the living mucus free and that are living it, and and to see how do you live it and how did you come to it and how is it working for you.
Yeah, okay. I came to it from learning about you through the Master Fast.
Right.
Yeah, I watched your video, and then Carrie Ashton told me about you, that you have
Mhm.
a private members group that she thought would be good for me because I was really struggling. So I did 40 days full MFS, and then I was struggling with coming off. So I did 32 days of hybrid MFS where I just ate a tiny little bit of food each day,
Right.
like literally just sucking on tomatoes and having the juice. That was about it.
Wow.
Yeah. So then after 72 days, I started to come off, and I was having like serious problems with no bowel movements, and I didn't know what to do. So I joined your page, and I learned to keep doing enemas. So I'm still doing them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've gotten a lot of really good support from your page over the. So I started my full MFS on March 1st. So I came off at mid-May. So it's been about 2.5 months, and I'm doing a really good job of eating mucus lean and mostly mucus free. Um, at least 60% fruit. So that's the diet part of it.
Well, you look great.
Oh, thank you.
You
Thanks.
you glowing, and how do you feel?
I feel great. So I made a list of things that have improved. So I feel great. My dry eye is gone. I had severe dry eye. Even looking at you on the screen for, let's say, an hour would hurt, which is
Wow.
a real problem with my work.
Yes. Which is just, I mean, a lot of people suffer from that, and that's just severe cellular dehydration. I used to get dry eyes a lot, and like by the evening they would hurt and they would burn, and or driving at night or something, and that's also for me. It's completely gone, but that was severe cellular dehydration.
Mm. Yeah, I knew I was seriously dehydrated because Alex, for years, probably at least 20 years, I would drink 16 cups of water a day, if not more. It was crazy.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I would have to carry around all this water everywhere I went. I felt so dependent, and I was constantly thirsty. Nothing could quench my thirst.
Right, yes.
So
Because it
that's,
came from the inside.
pardon me?
Because the thirst wasn't something that could be quenched through water, but it was on a cellular level. The dehydration was on a cellular level. And as we know now, no matter how much water we drink, it's never going to make it okay. The hydration needs to come by taking the acids out of the body.
Yeah. Yeah, and also when I started MFS, I was taking progesterone, testosterone,
Oh,
estrogen,
wow.
and 75 milligrams a day of desiccated thyroid because I was diagnosed
Mhm.
with hypothyroidism.
Yeah.
So I immediately went off all the hormones except for the thyroid hormone,
Mhm.
and I'm down to 7 milligrams a day now. So I'm
That's amazing.
still, yeah.
Fantastic. And
Thanks.
and what do you do?
What do I do in terms of
Work-wise, because you said, well,
oh
with your
work?
work.
I teach at an elementary school.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I've been teaching the kids a lot about eating fruit, and they really catch on to that.
I'm
Yeah,
sure. Yes, because I mean, at the end of the day, all kids do love fruit.
that's right. They sure do. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So we have these movie parties once a month. I'm not working right now. I'm off for the summer. It's summer here. Um, and the kids all bring in fruit now. So we eat the fruit first and then afterwards popcorn or whatever else they brought. And it's a lot of fun.
Nice. And
Yeah.
so you said you're deeply into Byron Katie's work, and you recently did what was it, a workshop or?
Yeah. So I went to Byron Katie's 9-day school for the work,
Okay.
in July.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've known about the work for about 10 years or so, and I read all
Mm-hmm.
of Byron Katie's books. I was just really attracted to the title of her most famous book, Loving What Is. I just thought, oh, that's what I want. That's really sums it up in 3 words.
Yes.
So, yeah, I read the book and I just really took to it. And then 3 years ago, I went to see Byron Katie at the Omega Center in New York. And I took my husband, and we got called up to the stage to work with her. And
Wow.
yeah, it was really a life-changing experience for me. So ever since then, so that was 3 years ago, I've been doing the work pretty much daily. Byron Katie says, eat the work for breakfast and have a happy life, which is cool because that's instead of food. Do your emotional work in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what does that consist of? What is your practice?
Well, my practice is simply like, okay, so it starts with like you write out if you notice thoughts that are causing stress. So I love that it helps me get in touch with my body, my feelings, to really sit and think, okay, what happened before I started feeling this way? What thoughts was I having? Or I can even pick like a really stressful situation from the past, like an argument. And then I fill in a worksheet, which everything is available on her website at thework.com for free. Like you can download and print off her worksheet. So I fill in the worksheet.
Right.
And so you think of a situation and I fill it in like what angers, confuses, saddens, or disappoints me and why, and then what do I want from the person. It's better to write it about someone else. It's easier to see our judgments about someone else rather than ourselves. It's all the same anyway.
Yeah.
And then what I think the person, what advice I would give them, what I think they should do to get what I want. And then what do I need from that person in order to be happy? My complaints about them. And then what I don't ever want to happen again. Like just really simple, easy sentences. So anyone can do it, really, kids, anybody. So I just fill these in. Like I have so many of them written out. Like here's some, I just write all over the place. And then I go through, usually if I'm doing the work like for breakfast in the morning, if I'm having a busy day, I'll just take one statement and I'll work it, which means I have this little yellow card which has 4 questions on it. And when I went to the school, Byron Katie said, you can even hand this card to a stranger and get them to facilitate you. That's how easy it is to facilitate the work. So I facilitate myself, or you can do it with a partner, and I just take the question like, he doesn't care about me, let's say. And the first question is it true? So I just sit and go back to that moment in time when I had that thought, like really meditate on the moment, think of what I was seeing and hearing and smelling, and answer if I really think that statement, he doesn't care about me, is true or not. And if I say no, then I go on to the third question. If I say yes, I think it's true, he doesn't care about me in that moment. Then I go to question number 2, which says, can you absolutely know that it's true? So it's just an invitation to contemplate it more deeply and
Right.
and really get still. And I usually close my eyes and just really get into the moment. And it doesn't matter if the answer is yes or no, whatever comes up. And then I go on to the third question. How do you react to what happens when you believe that thought? So when he doesn't care about me in that moment, I think about all my emotions. I go right back and relive the moment and my feelings and how I'm treating myself and treating him, maybe any obsessions or addictions that might arise. So that's where I become really aware of how often I turn to food. Yeah, and just really go deeply and meditate on what other underlying beliefs come up when I believe that thought. Just sit with it for a while. And then I go on to question 4. I love this one. Who would you be without the thought? So it's like getting playful with my imagination and really meditating on that moment and really thinking of who I would be if that thought just couldn't occur to me, like if I was a tree or something. And then after contemplating, like it's important to really get still and just let the answers arise. Then I just turn the thought around. He doesn't care about me. I don't care about me. So turn it around to myself, and think of 3 examples of how that could be true, especially in that moment in time that I'm meditating on. And then, and then find more turnarounds, like to the other. I don't care about him. And find 3 specific examples of how that could be as true or truer. And then to the opposite, he does care about me. And find examples. And then I find when I think of these turnaround examples, they're like a prescription for how I want to live my life. Like could be action steps there. Or maybe I need to make amends or just apologize to myself. And it really works for me.
Yeah. No, makes sense. And so what is the core idea is that basically we project onto others what we believe about ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying it's interesting that how, it is always only just about ourselves.
Always. Yeah, and then like it's the stories like they start to fall away, and I start to see it's about me, and like even the story about me is slowly starting to fall away. Like I'm just making up a big story about who I think I am, just like I do about everybody else. And
of course.
Yeah.
So we discover our unlimited ability to really create ourselves into who we know ourselves to be in the highest.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And for me, because like this process really resonates with me because it's so simple. Like it's not easy because in order for it to be effective, I've got to focus and have an open mind. It's just so simple. Just follow the simple steps. So that's why it appealed to me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I like it. And is there anything else that, because I think already, I mean, the steps that you shared, the listeners, they can apply it. It's something that you can very quickly apply to yourself, and you can jot them down, and, potentially that's a practice that everybody that's listening can include every day. Is there anything else about kind of what you've learned in those 9 days that maybe could help those that will be listening to this?
Well, I learned that to be more meditative in my daily life, in noticing what's not just when I write worksheets, but going around through my day, noticing when Byron Katie calls them second generation labels. So when I see something like, let's say, a woman, or if I start to think of you as a beautiful woman or intelligent woman, then I'm attaching a second generation label. The first generation would just be woman. So to notice when I get out of first generation and to say, oh, good one, or thank you, and then just go back to first generation.
Right.
And then like when we were at the school, we even practiced, like pretending we were God before there were any labels, just sort of walking around, and even before labels, like just noticing, and or make up your own first generation name. So that really helped me, because when I'm answering the 4 questions and I think, who would I be without the thought? Let's say if I'm in the middle of an argument with my husband, I think he doesn't care about me, I might go back to first generation labels. Man, talking, chair, TV over there. And I find that very, very helpful. Just to strip away all the judgments. It's an easy way to do it, to just label things with their first generation name.
Okay. And I'm thinking, isn't that taking us out of the body, what the body is experiencing?
Well, when I see what you're saying, okay, yeah. So when you answer, like if you're going through the work and answering the 4 questions, when you really meditate on question number 3, you're really getting deeply connected, I think, to what the body is experiencing in that moment of stress, and then kind of like exploring who you would be without that thought, and then probably some of those judgments would fall away. I don't find it takes me out of my body experiences, because I really spend time in question 3. I actually find it gets me more in touch. Like, for example, I knew that I turned to food for sure. I mean, I had an eating disorder when I was a teenager too. But I was just not aware of how much I turned to food or thoughts of food until I really got into doing the work, or how much my throat tightened up, or how much my shoulders curled in. I wasn't as aware.
Okay, so it brought you the awareness into the body to notice what was happening.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, yeah. No, sure, beautiful. I mean, at the end of the day, it is all about noticing what happens in our body when we feel certain feelings, and then determining where do those feelings come from, and discerning what is authentic and what is a story that we have created and which we have bought into as being authentic, but which is actually there to protect our true joyous nature and joyous natural arisings, right? Because I feel most of us are living from a non-self. We're living from, the sense of separation between our core authentic self and the identity that we have created to basically protect ourselves, which obviously can be very sneaky, especially when we get down to the nitty gritty. It's like the ego can make up so many stories to protect ourselves.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think through the work, like it helps me to see those stories more clearly, and to
Hmm.
um, they start to over time fall away,
Yeah.
or unravel.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I can see how that, it's basically like by shining light onto the shadows, we don't even really need to do anything about them. We
Yeah.
bring them into the light, and then they kind of dissolve themselves, basically, because once you see, it dissolves.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought of something else too that's really cool about this process, is that it's a great way to connect. Like, and I know that's a big part of the portal,
Mm-hmm.
because, like, let's say me, I'd be happy to like connect on Skype with someone and facilitate them. So it's a nice opportunity to partner with someone in a positive, constructive way. And
Yes.
yeah, and it's really fun too. Like, I really enjoy, even some of my friends who are not into the work, they come over and talk with me. And if they say something stressful, I invite them, do they want to go through the process with me? And it's a lot better than like complaining for 2 hours.
Totally. Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Much more constructive.
Exactly. And another thing I learned at the school was about, so I mentioned earlier I could just hand this question card to a stranger. One thing we learned about facilitating was the art of deep listening. So not even saying, just, I mean, it's easier in person, but you can do it over Skype, just looking into the person's eyes and just
Mm.
focusing and listening deeply, and until they're completely empty or finished answering the questions. So it's helping me to listen and to connect with people in a much more constructive way.
I like that. Yes.
Hmm.
Deep listening. Yes. That's beautiful. I
Yeah.
like it. Yes.
Yeah.
So where do you feel, and I mean, like, we can go there, we don't have to go there, but I'm just curious, where do you feel that there might still be blockages or something that maybe that the living mucus free has brought up or is bringing up, and like, what do you feel is standing between you and your highest?
Oh, a few things. Um, so physically, I have quite a bit of chronic pain still. So, and the worst physical symptom that really made me decide, okay, I have to go all in and do full MFS, was I've suffered from chronic foot pain for 6 years now, and it makes it hard for me to walk or stand.
Mm.
I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, but my physiotherapist said, like, it went away, but I still have the pain. So it was that motivated me, and that's still there. It's healed a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I find that, and I'm glad you talked about this, Alexandra. Thank you. My desire to binge has really increased. And that whole eating disorder mindset has resurfaced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
I'm dealing with that right now.
So, I mean, what's interesting, well, see, I mean, there, I always like to look at everything. Everything has a purpose. Nothing comes without a purpose. Our body and our soul is infinitely intelligent. So whatever arises, it arises with a purpose. It arises as something that kind of like, wants to take us by the ear and say, come look at this. So any pain, certainly any addiction is always just a symptom that is wanting to point us towards something. So similarly to, when Byron Katie says, who would you be, without that? I like to ask, if you would not have any negative or positive judgment around the binging, if it would just be, oh, it's arising. What is the message of the binging? What is it trying, like where is it pointing you towards?
That's a good question. Well, I am wanting to fill my time with eating. It's like an activity for me that I'm missing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting to get that comfort that I used to get, and it doesn't come, so I want to eat more. Yeah, I'm trying to fill some emotional need.
Right. So there, because, for me, having had bulimia for 20 years, I really, and then for me also the master fast, it brought me back to that place. And I really needed to eventually take it on as if it was perfect. So instead of always wanting to get away from it and wanting to fix it, I needed to rather take it on and go, okay, it's trying to teach me something. It's trying to show me something. And instead of judging it, I need to embrace it like it's perfect, like there's nothing wrong with it. But then stay present, because what we tend to do when we binge is we disengage, right?
Yes.
We go from being engaged and present to all of a sudden the urge comes and we kind of become zombies and we clonk out, and then it's just the binging, and then whether we purge or not, there's guilt and there's feeling heaviness, there's numbness and all of that. So what I started doing, I started saying, initially it was like I could feel the urge to binge. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, okay, it's okay. First of all, calm down, because you're allowed to binge. Mm-hmm. So instead of going like, oh shit, oh no, because that's what happened, right? We get oh shit, and then we can't help it, and then we just do it anyway, and then it's shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. And the guilt, and so it goes. So to rather say, okay, hang on, you're feeling the panic of you want to binge. You're feeling the guilt because you don't want to, but you want to. So the first thing is we remove the guilt. No guilt allowed.
Okay.
So that's what I did. It was like, okay, can I stay present to this, but remove the guilt? Because guilt doesn't serve anything. Mm-hmm. It's a self-indulgent, it doesn't serve. So once the guilt is removed, then the next thing was like, okay, first of all, so I would talk to me like a child, to myself like a child, and I would say, relax, Alex, you're allowed to binge. You can have all the food in the world. So already my nervous system would go, okay. And then I would say, so you can indulge in whatever food you want at the condition that you stay present and that you observe and that you make it beautiful. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so whether I was binging and purging or whatever, I would, like, the condition was no guilt, we make it beautiful, we stay present. And when I was able to do that, no matter what happened afterwards, whether I binged properly, purged or not, it was like, okay, we're winning. You're winning, and you're already a winner because you're staying present, you're making it beautiful, you're removing the guilt. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I basically grew myself to be a winner. And eventually, but then also by being present, okay, so we're eating all these things. What does it taste like? What does it give you? What are you eating? What is the eating giving you? And you know, obviously it's multi-layered, because what I started observing was that, first of all, that twinge in my stomach that would come before I had removed the guilt and everything, it was this fear of like, I want so much, but I can't have what I want. I can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and food just becomes the symbol. It becomes the symbol for all the things that we deem ourselves not worthy of. And it becomes a symbol and a substitute. So we go, okay, I can't have all those other things that I can't even allow myself to think about and to indulge in and to kind of fantasize and dream about. Well, then let's have the food.
Yeah.
But we still have the food with the energy of, I shouldn't, I couldn't, I mustn't, but I want to, you know, instead of going, well, actually, because then oftentimes what I would start realizing is that when I would relax and when I would say, hang on, Alex, relax your tummy, relax your muscles, you can have whatever you desire. I will give it to you. I will allow you to have it. And then my body would relax, my nervous system would relax. And then I would say, okay, so now let's really choose whatever you want to have from the knowing that you can have it. Because when you choose it with the energy that you can't, it becomes like a stealing.
Yeah.
But if you say, no, I mean, whatever it is, I can have a bowl of spelt pasta. I can have, potatoes with whatever. And then when I would really feel into that allowing, I would also realize, actually, like, hang on here. The few things that I desire, they're not that fucking bad. Like, let's kind of put everything into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I realized, yes, maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, I desire a bowl of spelt pasta, or I desire, zucchini noodles with a slightly heavier sauce. Like, it wasn't, then I realized when I really give myself what I really want, instead of coming with the energy of like, well, I can't have what I want, and so I might as well have everything,
Yeah.
Dogs at the door. So that for me was really then relaxing into, I will remove the voices that say that I can't have what I want. I remove the voices that say I don't deserve what I desire. And I will come forward and I will make sure that I get what I desire.
Mm.
And so I realized that this whole food thing was actually, the root of it was me, first of all, not believing that I deserved what I desire, and not believing, not trusting that I could have what I desired.
Mm-hmm.
And that was producing such anxiety in me. And I realized, I mean, that was since, it goes back to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that this anxiety kept kind of running in my body and creating a story that was making me so zombied. And then only by unplucking it, I realized, but hang on, actually, what I truly desire, like, is okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that wild,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that in the multidimensionality of my being, it had its place. And it was like, okay, so you can have it all.
Mm.
You can be, you can be detoxing your body, and you can really look after yourself, and you can really heal. But there's also a time and space when you can have things that supposedly aren't that okay, but they have an energetic. So it wasn't the matter that mattered in that case.
Okay.
It was the energy that they represented. Does that make sense?
Do you mean in terms of like allowing yourself to give yourself what you wanted?
Yes. Yes, because I always say you can eat an apple, but if you eat an apple with guilt, that apple will poison your body more than a brownie eaten with full pleasure and acceptance and honoring of, like, yeah, right now I feel like eating a brownie and I'm having that brownie because it's okay.
Mm.
So it's like you can eat a brownie and it cannot damage you, and you can eat an apple and it'll poison you worse than the brownie.
Yes, that's exactly where I'm at right now, because I so want to heal my chronic pain and my issues, and I'm getting impatient. So every time I eat, it's associated with guilt if it's not fruit or juicy fruit. Yeah, so that's exactly where I'm at.
Yes. And also there's a time for everything. It's kind of like what energies are at the forefront, what energies need to be healed. In other words, if right now, and I do feel that collectively we are all dealing with desire.
Okay.
We are all dealing with integrating the sacral chakra. We're all integrating being secure in who we are, in what we desire, feeling secure and rooted in our sexuality, which is our creativity. It's our creative life force. It doesn't necessarily have to do anything with sex, but it's about owning our desire. And realizing that our desire is not even ours. It is the life force that wants to flow through us in the particular individual expression, as it can only flow through me in my particular way and through you in your particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only when we disown it and when we judge it that it becomes, deviant, perverted, damaging. But if we just own this life force that, again, it's not ours, we didn't choose it, we didn't make it up.
Yeah.
It's divine, And so when we fully go, wow, this is my desire. You know, it's my desire that flows through me. It's my divine desire flowing through me, moving me. And all I need to do is honor it with innocence, without judgment, with purity, with curiosity of like, wow, this is an arising. You know? It's like sometimes you can meet somebody where maybe initially in the first moment you feel like, who is this person? I don't want to talk to this person, you know, and you kind of like, you're disinterested. And then all of a sudden something shifts. There's an energetic shift. And all of a sudden you see this person in a very different light. Right? It's like it's like, oh, wait, this is somebody. This is a divine being, you know? And all of a sudden it's not just, somebody. It's like, oh. And what is that? That is the divine rising and making itself known through the desire that all of a sudden is arising in your body and saying, oh, now I want to know more about you. But you didn't choose it. It just arose. And then, of course, we can make a story around it and we can go, no, I don't want to. And we can make a story of it and judge it and so forth. Or we can go, oh, wow, this arose. I'm feeling something here. There's something, okay, now I get it, why we're meeting. And, now I'm following my desire. You know?
Yeah.
And so what I feel is collectively happening is that we are all learning about our true and authentic desire. Because after all, that is our most important life force. That is the way that the divine beckons us towards the things that are meant for us. Whereas we always want to come from the mind. You know, most of us don't follow our desire blindly.
Right.
Because desire, there's sin there. It's dirty. It's lower. You know, we have a judgment about it. It's not high. It's not spiritual. It's kind of lower. It's more base. You know, we give it those names. It's base. It's what's the other word? Sort of, it's primitive.
Primitive, yeah.
And so we have, in many ways, again, collectively, and especially in the spiritual realms, we have actually separated our lower chakras into not so good, but the higher chakras, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And so there's separation within.
Right.
And the separation within is simply reflected on the outside and in our pain body.
Yes. I think I'll definitely have to listen to this again because you're so well spoken, Alex. And yeah, I can relate to everything you're saying. I feel that. And it's interesting when I answer these questions, like for doing the work and who I would be without the thought, I often come back to grounded, stable, solid, rooted. Interestingly, like more, I think that's first chakra type words. That's what I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense with what you were saying?
Completely, yeah. Because that is it. You know, we can only rise and be clear when we have become totally rooted in who we are, not who we want to be.
Yeah.
Who we are by nature, which is divine, no matter what it is, in all its light and shadow, in all its complexity and and paradoxes,
Mm-hmm.
it's divine, because again, we didn't choose it,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
It's the divine tension. And I mean, creation comes out of tension,
Right.
out of chaos. Out of tension comes creation.
Mm-hmm.
So to disassociate from our chaos, to disassociate from our paradoxes, is actually disassociating from our divine nature itself.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas when we integrate everything, when we accept the totality of who we are, and when we realize that it is the totality that is divine in us, that creates the divine. And so we completely, again, we relax into who we are, we grow roots, and we go, I accept myself fully, unconditionally, and also I accept myself powerfully, because I know that who I am is not me, but it is the divine flowing through me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, so only then, only when I realize I didn't make me the way that I am, because if I could have made myself, trust me, I would have made myself way more perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. How true for me.
Yeah, for I think for everybody, certainly
Yeah.
for me too. You know, I go like, if I would have baked myself like a cake,
Uh-huh.
I would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So since I didn't do that, but the creator did, I fully need to trust, can only but trust in full faith that it is so perfect in its paradox, and that even my worst trait, even my worst moments, when experienced with awareness, are actually serving the totality. When experienced with awareness,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
Because then that is the evolutionary process of raising consciousness.
Yeah, and that's when it's the most difficult, like you were saying, when you're binging, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and easy to be holy
Mm-hmm.
when we are operating from the higher chakras, and when we are disembodied.
Yeah.
But to stay present to our smallness, to our contractions, to our shadow, and to still show up in love, that's the hard part.
Yes.
You know, that's the part where we tend to fail, we tend to contract, we tend to say, "Ooh, not this time,
Mm-hmm.
next time." You
Mm-hmm.
know, let me just be unconscious this last time, and then I'll show up next time.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm familiar with that thinking.
Of course, we all do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Whereas the difficulty is, and it's same thing, you know, in human relationships, the difficult thing is to be vulnerable in the moment and to go, "Ooh, what you just shared with me really brings up a contraction within me, and it makes me feel not good enough." And you know, so it's taking responsibility for what is happening in the moment, speaking to it, but also with full realization that we don't need to have any shame for our contraction, any shame for our lower being, because again, it is divine by nature, as divine as our higher being. And all it wants is integration. In fact, it is again the very beckoning of our divine integration, of bringing down divinity into our humanity so that we can become the divine human that we are beckoned to become, that this wave of consciousness is beckoning us towards. You know, it doesn't happen by disengaging with the lower self. It only can happen by integrating.
Mm.
And that's where I feel there is this big divide between, you know, spiritual teachers, because there's those that sort of, you know, see that the integration is what needs to happen, and those that go, oh, no, we don't need to look at our shadow. We can just jump over it and ascend.
Mm.
But it's like, sure, you can do that, but you are leaving a big piece of yourself behind.
Right.
In fact, you're leaving the most crucial. So that's, again, the paradox. The truth is always in the paradox. You know, we think that it's our highest that is our most beautifulest, and where the power is. But actually, and where the bliss is. But actually, the bliss and the power and the real divinity is by taking the shadow and bringing it into the light.
Mm.
And transmuting it, alchemizing it into our power.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, so that's the work.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely another thing that kind of exploded for me in the past year that probably led to my health deteriorating was, well, I could really relate to the relationship that you have with your mom, your mother, and your father. I've had a similar experience. And that kind of came to a head in the last year. And what I did was I took on a lot of guilt and self-blame. So, and that just built up inside me, and I wasn't using it to transmute into gold or anything. I was just wallowing in self-pity and guilt and self-hate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously, as we know, is that all these lower emotions, you know, really, I mean, I always tell people, if you want to keep those lower emotions running, you might as well go eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When we start really to see it that way, then we start realizing it's not good enough to just eat fruit and vegetables or whatever, because as long as we are running those old programmings, you know, we can eat all the fruit in the world, but actually we're going to be still acidic, because guilt and shame, unworthiness, you know, all of that is really, those are the lowest vibrations. Yeah. And they will simply keep the body acidic, because they keep the body in fear and contraction.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason, you know, and then of course we can go, well, why is it happening? And, you know, I'm going to force my kidneys to filter and whatever. And it's like, no, because the body is so amazingly clever that all it wants is to bring us into balance.
Yeah.
And so it will push us, it will pull us back,
mm-hmm.
so that we can release, and then then we can leap forward, you know. And that is what I've experienced so often in my own body, is that the minute that I would give myself full permission to have exactly what I desired, or when I fully accepted myself, you know, because typically we say, you know, in the quiet of our mind, we go, yeah, sure, I understand self-love and all of that. I will love you when you get to that level of perfection.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we go, sure, Alex, I love you. And we look in the mirror with that criticism. Yeah. And we don't say it in words, but energetically, we're saying, yeah, when you're, you know, 5 kilos lighter, or when you haven't binged for a month, or when you have, you know, whatever condition we set, then I'll love you.
Yeah.
And the body goes, no, that's not how we work. It's now. Can you love now?
Mm-hmm.
And that by bringing the love into the now, into the imperfection, into embracing everything because it is perfect,
Yeah.
the body kind of relaxes and then it starts releasing.
Hmm.
You know, whereas we play this tug of war. No, I'll accept you when, you know, you're there, and the body goes like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And the body, you know, that's again, it's like it's the body is the densest, is denser than anything else. You know, physical ailments are denser than anything else. And so the only way to release them is by obliging the weakest link. So all of this actually to say, because where we started was, you know, it depends what energies are on the forefront, what is kind of the weakest link. So basically, if the energy of the moment is you're working with, what did you say at the beginning? There was guilt or shame? No,
Yeah.
desire.
Desire. Desire.
Desire. Yes, which is what we're all working with at the moment. So since that is at the forefront, we first need to give ourselves, find ways to allow ourselves to have the experience, the energetic experience that you can have whatever you desire. You are the queen and you deserve to have whatever you desire. And once you have that energetic experience, which can be, you know, like in my case the other day, it was allowing myself to have the bowl of spelt pasta that my body desired.
Mm-hmm.
Without guilt, with joy, with full expansion. And so it wasn't about the pasta, it was about the experience of having what I desired.
Uh-huh.
So it can be whatever, you know, it can be anything that you know is going to work for you. And then to really work with those energies until the feeling is anchored, basically until you have transmuted, until you have alchemized your inner story that tells you that you can't have what you desire.
Got it.
So once you've transmuted that, and now you're sitting there and you go, I can have anything that I desire.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. You know, then things will start shifting because then everything shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can start seeing, okay, so now what is the next energy that I need to alchemize so that I can be pain-free, or, you know, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe, you know, we can go into your foot right now.
Okay.
And just, you know, you can close our eyes and really go to the foot
Okay.
and trust the infinite wisdom that is in that foot that your body holds. And with wonderment and real interest, we can go into the foot without any judgment or preconceived notions. And we can simply ask, what is this infinitely clever body telling you? What is it asking of you? What is it pointing towards?
It's saying slow down.
Mm-hmm. Slow down.
Yeah.
And how does that slow down look like for the body? Remember, it doesn't care about your mind. Your mind has stories. The body knows. So what does the body want to do?
The body is saying rest. Put your feet up. Give it time.
Mm-hmm.
Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
The body, it's saying something about fear, like don't be afraid to use me. Um, I'm thinking that means to use my feet, literally.
Yes.
Like to maybe trust that they can handle some movement, some walking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes.
And something came up too, like in terms of desire, like you can have what you really want. Maybe my biggest desire is to give my body this chance to heal.
Gorgeous. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So now if you allow that feeling of, yeah, I can have what I desire, I can have the healing that I desire, and you just allow that to expand in your body so that it kind of really pervades all your cells, and all the cells in your body carry that knowing of, yeah, I can heal my body because it's what I desire, and therefore it desires me. It desires, my body desires what I desire by nature, just by complete nature. It's a no-brainer. And so every cell in my body is relaxing into the knowing that I can heal this. It's already healed, in fact. The body now just needs to catch up and sort of work out the kinks that have gotten in the way through your not believing. So by you just communicating to the cells and saying, I'm so sorry for keeping this contraction going, this story going. They were kind of brought out of kink, but actually they can relax now and they can let go, because thank you so much, body. I have received the message. Thank you for your infinite wisdom and for knowing exactly how to deliver the message to me. So how does that feel when you completely accept the full possibility that your body is going to be healed? It's not going to be a problem. Like, the problem is done. What does that bring up?
It feels incredible. I feel so light. I feel my cells tingling, and I feel my energy is rising. Yeah, I feel very confident, and that root chakra, I feel solid, grounded, able to stand on my own 2 feet. Yeah, it feels wonderful.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is, what are you going to do with this energy that until now you employed this energy in a downward spiral to keep you sick? Now we need to do something with this energy, because we can't just leave it there. It's an energy that wants to be clearly used. So if we pull that energy up, how are we going to transmute it and put it to use? What does it want to do?
It definitely wants to share and help people. I was very excited to be on this call with you. Yeah, it wants to turn more outward and focus on helping others, like the students that I teach. My daughter, my 19-year-old, who struggles with mental health issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to really cultivate this feeling of the upward spiraling energy that you have, you've experienced now, right? You know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's every day or every time that you feel the pain in the foot, because the thing is, this energy wants to be used by you. It wants to teach you. It is your teacher. So every single time that you feel the pain in your foot, instead of making a story about it, that, you've got plantar fasciitis, whatever it's called, that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's a story. That's a three-dimensional story.
Okay.
The real story you just uncovered. And so when you feel the pain, that's kind of like your alarm bell of your incredible body to say, Elaine, spiral upwards.
Oh my
You're
God.
not paying attention. This energy is spiraling downwards because you're not paying attention. So you need to be present and kind of go, oh, okay, yes. I direct. I'm the director here. Right? That is what it means to be embodied. So embodied doesn't mean being in a perfect body.
Okay.
It means taking our body as perfect and the imperfections as
Yes.
the perfect beckonings, because without that pain, you could not have the experience of what it means to spiral your energy upwards, and you could not understand where that energy is trying to point you towards. You'd miss it. So there's no negative story, it's a beautiful story that your clever body, there's nothing stupid about it, there's nothing sick about it, there's nothing wrong about it. It's like, oh my goodness, my amazing body gave me the perfect opportunity to learn. So the plantar fasciitis is like the arrow pulled back, so that you can come to this point. You're being brought to your knees by it. Thank you. Now you let the arrow go and it shoots you where you saw. It shoots you upwards into service, into the kind of service that is going to uplift you. And then, by the way, also serve others. So do you see how it's perfect?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so the practice then becomes that simply every single time that we are in pain, every single time that maybe we go into fear mode even and go, oh my goodness, like you mad, you think that you can resolve your physical issues like that, like it'll take more, all these stories that we make up. We stop, we go into it, and then we spiral the energy upwards, and we feel, where does this energy want to be transmuted into? And then it's not your decision. It is showing you. And all you need to do is oblige.
Yeah.
So it's the divine speaking through you and saying, come, I got stuff to show you.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then basically by cultivating that excitement, by allowing yourself to get excited, because it gets you excited. I can help. And this energy is infinite. It will show you universes.
Wow.
It is the divine intelligence that is going to start showing you doorways to infinity, to your infinite nature. And all you have to do is trust it. And how can you not trust it? It's like, you couldn't have made this up.
No.
So that's when we know it's just divine energy.
Wow. Is that what you mean when you refer to a download? Just something that pops into your head, like,
Kind of. I mean, like
okay.
yeah. I mean, a download to me is, yes, it's like all of a sudden I will have this knowing of, how certain things work in the body, or like even this, I mean, even this knowledge sort of like all of a sudden it was there. It was like a download. It just kind of, I didn't read about it. It just came. And so, and that's the thing, we all have the access to these downloads when we start feeling, into the infinite intelligence that is in our body. And that's what I mean when I say, we all are here to embody our unique divinity.
Mm,
This unique divinity that can only come through me in the particular way with which it's coming through. And then there's a divinity that can only come through you because of your particular set of contraction and expansion.
okay.
So it's like, that's why, like, you were made perfectly, but only when we take all of you. If we start severing you and we start saying, the lower parts of you, they're not that great, Elaine.
Yeah.
We only want your higher stuff. That's their separation. Then it's like, no, then we no longer work. But when we take all of who you are, when we embrace all of who we are, our light and our shadow, by really understanding that it is the tension between the light and the shadow that is creation itself, that is divine creation itself, that makes divine creation possible with awareness. So it doesn't mean, unconsciously giving into the shadow. It means embracing the shadow, bringing it into the light, and stepping over it, which obviously is not easy, because the shadow wants to pull us, but we embrace it and we bring it into the light and we alchemize the shadow into the light. And then that's how we become divine humans, because primitive humans didn't see this. They were either dipped in the shadow, or the majority of people, that's why what we said earlier, like most people, they don't know why they're doing the things they're doing.
Yeah.
But also because we disown it. We've been taught to disown it. Instead of saying, okay, like if we were taught from children, like, oh, wonderful, you've got, a binging disorder. Wonderful. I wonder what the gift is. I wonder what that's trying to teach you. Or like all of a sudden you've got an addiction to cigarettes. That's amazing. What is the teaching there? Whereas it's like, oh, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
So already the energy, I mean, even just the words, we've got a problem, my whole body immediately shuts down. But when I say, oh, that's wonderful, I wonder, the body naturally opens. So the practice really is that it's to go into, the energy, allowing it to spiral upwards. And then, so when we go into fear, to go into that expansive energy and to really feel the joy and the excitement, and to keep feeding that.
Beautiful. I love that, Alex.
Yeah, I'd love to know how it evolves.
Yeah. So from now on, when I feel my foot pain, wonderful, beautiful, sit with it and listen. Spiral.
Yeah, like, what does it want?
What does it want?
What does it want? Some days it may want to rest. And other days it may say, you know, and I remember the same thing in my adrenal fatigue when I was, you know, bedridden, and I was so terrified of using my body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I don't want to damage it more. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and when I started, some days the body was like, no, it's okay. Now we're going to go out and we're going to exert ourselves a little,
Mm-hmm.
not much, but enough to get into your body and to reclaim your body,
Mm-hmm.
to reclaim your body and your will.
Yes.
You know, to go, I'm not going to be subjected to the lower energy, to the downward spiraling energy. I will connect to my will and to my body and to that energy. And I am going to single-handedly spiral that energy up because I will it, because I desire it. And it is amazing when you start feeling that, oh my goodness, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm doing the upward. So I am my creator and I'm my destroyer.
Yes.
You know, and that we have the right to do both because both is serving.
Okay.
But then we choose, you know, and that is how then we can play, and that is how we become the shamans of our own body.
Mm.
Because creation includes destruction.
Okay.
You know, so as, and especially as women, men as well, but especially as women, you know, we are the creatresses, we are the destroyers. So we create life and we destroy life. And just as in nature, you know, in nature, nature knows when it's time for the branches to die off.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's certain things that maybe need to die off in us, and then it's okay. We use the downward spiral. But then we also know, okay, it is done, and then we use the upward spiral. And that really, that to me, in my experience, that is being fully embodied, is to know how to use these energies that, you know, and also how we create health, that health is not continual upward spiral. No. You know, just as health is not pure alkalinity,
Mm-hmm.
it's the balance, the right balance between acidic and alkaline.
Okay.
And it's a dance. Sometimes we need a little bit more of this, sometimes a little bit more of that. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's our dance. It's not a dance that's prescribed in books, you know. So we have the teachings to guide us, but then
Okay.
at some point we go, okay, thank you, I got the teachings. Now I use my dance. Now I dance it my way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, you've really, really effectively gotten that message across. I still want to follow your protocols, but you've also been really getting that across, to trust, to go within, listen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the protocols are there, you know, every now and again, okay, we go. So it's that dance of, I follow the protocol, because it takes, I find, even for me still, it takes years to find a real new attunement. I mean, I feel it's an ongoing process that sort of in the last 9 months, more and more and more, I have come to really fully trust myself and my body and my desire, and, you know, the whole, and to move between fasting and juice only and spelt pasta, and, you know, so it's how do I dance with it all.
Yes.
And that is health,
Ah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, I'm going to eat fruit only. I'm going to, that is rigidity. And rigidity makes you break very easily.
Yes, yes, yes.
Where when we're fluid and when we are relaxed, when we go, I can trust myself and my body. And yeah, maybe every now and again I make a little mistake, whatever, and I learn. And, that's a whole different energy. Then we're like, ah. And that being relaxed makes so much room for flow. Whereas when we're not relaxed, we create acidity, we create rigidity. So, do you see how, it's all perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely perfect.
It
And
is.
I also see how, like, in terms of desire, like when you're doing something and then there's all these people posting that, yes, they're doing it too, that creates desire. It's like, oh, I want to be part of the group. I want to do it with them. It's motivating. We can share. So,
Yes.
yeah, it turns that desire, it spirals it up for me. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I love that you do that. Bring people together all to magnify the energy, the positive and spiraled up energy.
Right. Because,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we need each other and it's more fun.
It is more fun.
And we simply create more energy that way. That's really what it is. Besides, yes, it's fun, but it's fun because we create more energy. And so they're also to realize, like, what do we need for creation? And to realize, well, creation likes to magnetize.
Yeah.
And so the more, whatever we're doing, so it's like, this is a way of really learning about how do we create, and that we don't need to do it by ourselves. We don't need to use more energy, because that's also, I feel, our life force. It's, what are you going to use your energy for?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to use your energy for being staunch and just doing it by yourself? If that's what you need to experience. But we can also go, oh, I soften and I reach out, and I'm going to enter a vortex where I don't have to use all my energy. And then that doesn't take so much life force, because we are lifted.
Yes.
So it's really just learning, again, how do we dance this energetic dance with elegance and with ease and with joy? And to always check, like, when am I making it harder than I need it to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And with this whole thing about desire, like, I was questioning whether or not I actually wanted to do a full MFS, but my highest desire is to heal and also to be part of this group energy. So I see how I can, like, you take advantage of being on this full MFS, which might on the surface seem to really push against my desire to eat, and use it to alchemize that into something that's going to serve me better in the long run. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, oh, you're just amazing. You're so wise. I can tell you've got a lot of downloads.
Yeah, that was well. You pulled them out. I always love these conversations, because, again, like, it wasn't planned, so we co-created this.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. So thank you.
It was, yeah. So we've got it recorded, and I feel there's a lot of beautiful things for others to extrapolate.
Yeah, well, me too. I'm definitely going to be watching again.
Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I've downloaded it, then I'll post it. And yeah, I thank you for your time and for sharing your teachings, and the Byron Katie what is it called? The work?
Yes, the work.
The work. Yes, yes. So yeah, I thank you, Elaine, and please keep me posted how things are going with the foot and with the upward energy.
I will. Thank you so much. I feel like I got a lot more than I gave. Thank
No,
you.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So nice to meet you too, Alex.
Yeah, good to meet you. Bye, Elaine.
Bye, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I pressed stop on the recording. So yeah, I think you did great, Elaine. There was nothing to be shy about or nothing.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was great fun, and yeah, like I said, I appreciate what you brought out.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Alex.